Hello, everyone. Welcome to my presentation. I am Jiadu Liu from Business School of Chinese University of Hong Kong. Nowadays, many firms have utilized alternative methods to help finance their companies through crowdfunding, where companies can raise funds from a crowd of individual investors. Some examples of crowdfunding platforms include Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and GoFundMe. A typical crowdfunding platform works as follows. Companies will first create a campaign on the website. They will describe about the projects and also set the target of the money they expect to raise. Individual investors can simply click back the projects to fund the projects. The platform builds connections between entrepreneurs and common investors. Because of the simplicities and usefulness, crowdfunding is very popular. For example, since the launch of Kickstarter, it has successfully raised over $5 billion from 19 million investors. Despite its popularities, there are huge risks associated with crowdfunding. Contrary to traditional financial markets where legal regulations are enforced to monitor any underlying risks, there is no legal requirements to disclose any major risks or potential challenges in crowdfunding platforms. The project managers may choose to hide certain negative information to attract more money. Moreover, most of the projects in crowdfunding platforms are at their early stages, and more than 50% to 70% of startups fail within 5 years. Because of the huge risk, some platforms require the project owners to report the risks and challenges of the projects. However, these self-reported risks cannot be easily verified by the platforms. Therefore, our research question is, what should be the optimal risk disclosure policies in crowdfunding platforms? We use both analytical models and lab experiments to answer these research questions. We abstract the crowdfunding process and model four risk disclosure policies. Self-reporting is that project managers need to self-disclose the risk of the projects to the investors, but the risks are not verified by the platforms. Investors do not know the true risks of the projects and need to infer it from the reported risk. No disclosure policies is that the true risk is not reported by the project managers, and investors do not know the true risk. Full disclosure means that the true risk is known to the investors. This represents an ideal scenario where there is no information asymmetry among project managers and investors, and self-reporting and no disclosure policies are very common in practice. So full disclosure can be a benchmark comparisons. Self-social is similar to self-reporting policies, but project managers and investors will know each other's identities. We will explain each of them in more detail. The first is self-reporting risk disclosure policies. The project managers will first observe the project risk V and then chooses the target project quality Q. This Q has a cost. After that, he needs to submit a reported risk V prime. The investors observe the target quality Q and reported risk V prime, but do not know the true risk V. Then the investor chooses the investment amount M. Each investment has a cost. The total output of the project is given by these Cobb-Douglas functions. The payoff of the project managers is a portion of the output minus the cost of the target qualities. Similarly, the payoff of the investors is a portion of the output minus the cost of the investment amount. The difference between this no disclosure and self-report is that project managers are not required to report the risk V prime, and investors does not observe the reported risk. For full disclosure, except that the true risk is observed by the investors, Other things are the same as no disclosure policies. For self-social treatments, everything is same to self-treatments. But before the crowdfunding games, project managers and investors know each other's identities. To compare the four treatments, we derive the theoretical equilibriums and conduct lab experiments to see what happens. In the lab experiments, participants are randomly assigned into one of the four treatments and sit in front of the terminals. There are 18 rounds for each treatment. In each round, students are randomly and anonymously matched into a group of two people. One plays the role of project managers, another plays the role of the investor. For project managers, they will first observe the true risk of the project, and then they need to select a target quality from 5 to 15. If the treatment is self-reporting and self-social treatments, the project managers also need to submit a reported risk. After this, the investors would observe the target qualities. If the treatment is self-reporting or self-social treatments, the investor would also see the reported risk from the project managers. After that, the investor needs to submit the investment amount from 5 to 15. After this, the payoff of each participant will be determined. The theoretical equilibrium of the four risk disclosure policies are identical. The target quality should be 12, while the investment amount would also be 12. If project managers need to report risk, they will report lowest possible value 0. But are people behave like what we predicted? The answer is no. The experiment result is shown in this table. There are considerable differences across different risk disclosure policies. First, we can observe that project managers lie about the risk in self-reporting treatments. They will underreport the true risk. However, they will truthfully report the risk if project managers are socialized with investors. Second, we found that among the four treatments, the target quality and investment amount are the lowest in self-reporting treatments and the highest in self-social treatments. The results suggest that self-reporting risk disclosure policies, which is the most widely used policies in crowdfunding platforms in practice, are the worst. Requiring project managers to self-report risk cannot guarantee an objective reported risk. Since our experiment results are contradictory to model predictions, we therefore propose a new models that incorporate two behavior components. First, investors may not fully believe in the reported risk from the project managers, and they will inflate their belief about true project risk. However, with socialization, investors will trust project managers. Second, anticipating that investors display different level of trust and also invest differently, project managers exhibit contribution inequality aversion. When there is no socialization, if project managers expect investors to contribute little, they will also contribute little. However, if project managers and investors know each other's identities, project managers are willing to contribute more to achieve higher project output. We also estimate this proposed model with our experiment results. The model fits well. To summarize, self-social risk disclosure is the optimal policies. If you want more information about these projects, you can reach me via my email. You can also leave comments below this video. Thank you.